What's up guys? Today we're gonna give you some tips on taking pictures with your smartphone in snowy conditions. We've had some heavy snowfall these last couple of days, and as you can see we're in the slopes, which would make for a good setting. I brought my dear colleague Patrick with me today, whom I consider a decent mobile photographer. And as our shooting tool, we brought the Huawei Mate 20 Pro. So let's go! To start out, let's go through some basic tips that apply whether you're shooting on an SLR camera or just a smartphone. First up, this goes without saying, wintertime means warm clothes, so dress for the occasion. Secondly, carry a lens cleaning cloth with you and make sure the lens is free from condensation or stains. Snow maybe? That will save you a headache when going through your photos later. Number 3. Moving away from the safety of auto mode can feel scary, but switching to pro mode will give you more creative control as you can set the white balance, exposure, depth of field, etc. Number 4. Right. If the phone allows it, setting your camera app to shoot in RAW will give you more flexibility when editing your photos later. For example, it's easier to recover lost highlight or shadow detail, and you get more control over the final color balance. If your camera app doesn't allow shooting in RAW, you should consider downloading an app that does. Number 5, hold the phone with both hands. If you hold the phone with one hand and use the other one for the shutter button, you're gonna end up with some blurry shots. So wide legs, arms tight. Tip number 6. Probably the most well-known rule of photographic composition is the rule of thirds. First, activate the 3x3 grid in the camera settings. The thought is to line up your subject in the intersections or along the lines in the grid. Doing so will give you well-balanced and interesting shots. Number 7. When getting ready to take your picture, pay attention to everything that's inside the frame. Are there any unwanted objects? Don't be afraid to move your subject or any other objects around. Number 8. Avoid using the digital zoom on your smartphone camera. Using the digital zoom would just digitally enlarge your photo and cut down on the resolution. Some of the newer phones have optical zoom, which will work fine. But if you feel the need to zoom, try going closer instead. Remember, you can always crop your image later to the perfect fit. Come on, Patrick, let's hit the jumps. Now during winter, there are some extra things you need to be aware of, especially in snowy conditions like this, which brings us to tip number 9. Make sure your subject has contrast. Most likely your surroundings will be bright and white. Therefore, if your subject has strong colors, it'll pop out more in the image. Number 10. The exposure on your camera is often fooled by the light from the snow. This often causes the darker parts, like your subject, to get underexposed. In these cases, force the exposure up by 1 or 2 stops and you'll have a much better starting point for post-editing. Tip number 11, white balance. When in automatic settings, the pictures can sometimes turn out blue or even gray. That's because the camera can get confused by the bright light. Try setting your white balance manually. The cloudy preset around 6500 Kelvin is a good starting point. If you do this right, you get more natural colors in the final results. Tip number 12. Most people take pictures from an eye level. Instead, try going high or low and get creative on the angles. If you're shooting skiers or snowboarders hitting jumps, try going close and low with a wide angle for some cool action shots. 13th and final tip. To create more interesting shots, try using elements both in the foreground and in the background. Trees, branches, piles of snow or scenery are all good things to play around with. actively using these things can add depth to your photos or give it an interesting framing. Winter photography can be super fun, and it's all really about going out there being creative. I hope we managed to inspire you with some of these tips. If you have any additional ones, please share them with us in the comments. And be sure to subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Now, Patrick, we're gonna go sled some more. Peace out.